so that you can see the beginning of our presentation for today. Like I said, I'm Carolyn Keller with Curio412, and we have Tori from Givebutter, and we are going to be talking about how to build a fundraising machine. To give you a little overview of how this session is going to go, we're going to do some welcome and introductions from both Tori and I. And then Tori, I'm going to let her be the star of the show today and take it away and give us an overview of some annual fundraising plans, 10 tips for your year-round fundraising success. And then if we have time, we're going to break out into breakout rooms and talk about how we want to workshop annual plans and what they might look like. As we're thinking about building a fundraising machine, and as I was preparing for this today, a couple of things came to mind, being that a machine involves many different parts. You have your staff, you have the operations at your organization, you have your buildings, you have the people who are ambassadors and volunteers and board members who all support your organization. And all of those parts need to be moving well. And having a great plan is one of the ways to keep that machine moving. And when you're able to have clear and specific goals and set priorities for those fundraising efforts, and your plan moves in the direction that goes towards those priorities, then you're going to have a much stronger plan. And a lot of that has to do with communicating the value that your organization brings to others. And that has a great basis in the impact that you have on communities. So as you're thinking about your fundraising plan, as Tori's giving her tips today, just keep in the back of your mind the value that your organization brings to the people that you serve and how you best communicate that and how you prioritize those fundraising efforts to get to the best impact that your organization can have. When we had our registration, we asked a few questions about how you're currently fundraising. And so we wanted to share a little bit about where everyone is. One of the great things about these sessions is that you get to realize that even though we're all isolated in some ways, we're not alone and we're all experiencing some of the same things. So as we looked at the responses from registration, we realized a lot of us are still getting a ton of donations from doing events, whether those events are virtual or in person and socially distanced. A lot of us are taking advantage of having online donation forms and ways that you can access people online. And we're still pursuing and getting sponsorships and grants. And so all of those are different ways. We even saw someone said they're doing some Zoom solicitation. And I know Tori and I were excited to know who's doing Zoom solicitations and what that looks like. And we also asked where you see missed opportunities, and there were a lot of people that said everywhere. And I think that's a funny answer, but it's also very true, as we all have limited capacity. So we all could be doing more, and there's probably missed opportunities everywhere. But when we target in on the opportunities we really want to pursue, then we can start to capture what those are. And you did identify some of them, which were things like more grants or corporate donors, or maybe being better at follow-up with individuals who have donated to your organization before, but want to continue to donate, or you want to be able to keep that relationship going. A lot of fundraising involves having relationships. And even thinking about things like having consistency and strategy. And like I said, Tori and I are going to talk more about that. So I'll give you, as we move forward with this, that's a little bit about you and everyone who's here today. To tell you about us, like I said, my name is Carolyn. I'm the founder of Curio412, and I started this consultancy because I had been serving nonprofits for nearly a decade and volunteering, being on boards, and it was challenging sometimes. And so I understand some of the challenges that you as nonprofit leaders go through in trying to move your organization forward, where you're focused on these day-to-day tasks that are very important to your mission, but you also know that there are other things that you need to focus on. You're constantly moving. And so through being a consultant, I found that is one of the ways that I can help organizations to streamline their strategies and leave a lasting impact on the places they call home. And now, because I've talked too much already, I'm going to turn it over to Tori so she can introduce herself and get into being the star of our show for today. Tell us a little bit more about Givebutter and tell us how to create our plans for fundraising. Go ahead, Tori.
Thanks so much, Carolyn. That was a great introduction. I really appreciate it. Thank you all for being here today. It's really been an honor to be invited to speak with your group. I was so excited to hear what Carolyn was working on with these Zoom seminars, and just a little bit about myself. I'm extra excited to be here because a lot of you are Pittsburgh based or in Western Pennsylvania or touch my favorite state. So I'm in the Strip District, which just looks towards the Heinz History Center. So I'm very close to our Heinz History folks. I'm the Director of Customer Success at Givebutter. I'm an advocate for school and art choice when I'm not working with all the nonprofits and for-profits that I work for Givebutter day to day. I specialize in some technical documentation things, but my heart is in human-centered design. So whether that's just taking an approach for our entire business, making sure that the organizations that we're supporting are, feeling that we drive with heart for what we have going on. I'm really excited and electrified to help those businesses grow. And so I also like to call nonprofits for purpose. So just like there's for-profit businesses, nonprofits in my mind are for that purpose. So if I use that term, just so you guys know, it's just a way for me to reframe that I love thinking about nonprofits as a business organization, which they are. And so just making sure that I really put my thumbprint on that so that everyone knows that terminology, just something I want to open up with. So thank you again all for being here. And let's just dive in, okay? If you have any questions, you can feel free to chat them at this time, or we can answer them at the end when we have our Q&A session, okay? So just a little bit about Givebutter. Givebutter is the nation's leading fundraising platform for nonprofits. We allow anyone to raise funds on Givebutter, so you don't have to be a verified nonprofit or have a tax deductibility status. But if you do, we have some great perks that are available to those organizations. So our motto is raise more, pay less, give better. And we want it to be a better way to give. Our company is about 5 years old. We were founded by 2 college juniors at George Washington University. When they were about 3 years into the company, the 2 of them bootstrapped and built our platform together. They said, we should hire someone with some heart and touch to really get to our customers. I applied and landed there. So I've been with Givebutter for almost 2 years now. We now have a team of about 14 people. So we've seen our own business growth pretty quickly. And we're excited for what we have going on. This has allowed us to support over 40,000 accounts on our platform. And so we'd love to add anyone in the room today. There, I will share my contact information after and would be here to answer any questions that you have about Givebutter specifically. But just so you know, when I dive into my slides, I'm going to be talking about overarching fundraising goals and features. So it doesn't matter if you use Givebutter or not, they should still be applicable. Okay, let's hit our next slide and jump right in. Okay, I tried to make my slides as cute and fun as possible. So they have my main tips on the left and some GIFs to add some fun and sunshine to the presentation and some of my talking points, okay? Also, when you get a copy of these slides, everything in blue is a hot link, which will take you to either a blog post that our team has written or a feature functionality on our website, okay? So on my 5 tips for your annual fundraising plan, the first is a documented strategy to raise funds. This sounds like a no-brainer, but if we stop at the first step, then we're in trouble. So some of the things that I wanted to mention here were no 2 fundraising plans are the same because no 2 nonprofits are the same. And so this can seem like an overwhelming task to either look at for the beginning of the year or, I find myself in the minutia of work. And so sometimes it's difficult when you're working in your nonprofit to work on your nonprofit, right? And so this should include your fiscal goals and a timeline that aligns with your budget. There should be really high level strategy here and ideas for area of opportunity where you've been successful in the past. One of my favorite things is to consider this as a way that you could, excuse me. it's almost impossible to consider your annual fundraising strategy without thinking about your marketing plan. So if you already have a marketing plan put together, your annual fundraising strategy can be a great place to sort of piggyback off of there. And so we're going to share an Excel spreadsheet of an example for what that could look like after step 5. But this documenting the strategy is really the place where we want to start. So let's hit to slide 2. So we have some common strategies to follow. There are so many ways that our organizations are interacting with our donors, are hosting different services that we offer or different events. So when you're considering the strategies for your fundraising plan, don't forget to think about your major donors, your opportunities for donations online, if grants are something that your organization applies for, if you have events or have ever done peer-to-peer, if you have great friends who follow your organization, or a great place that you can lean into, whether that's in social media or in person, just identifying that for your organization can help you find those wins. Don't forget about corporate partners, potentially monthly giving, and any special appeals. So really, when we're brainstorming these ideations, we don't want to leave anything out because we can always cut it down at the end. Okay, slide 3. Awesome. So some ways to implement. There are so many different channels that we can consider when we're doing our annual fundraising plans. So one of the first things I mentioned was making sure that we coordinate with marketing. If marketing is us, that means just making sure that we're double dipping and that our marketing is also soliciting funds, or making people aware of where we want to push for the year. Another important thing is to get buy-in. So it's buy-in from your team and board of directors. You're also going to want to make sure that you have either a software or a system for you that will make this implementation seamless. So whether that's you need to be able to track to make sure things get done. If a to-do list is how you operate, great. Just make sure that everyone in your organization has a clear understanding of what would be expected of them. Okay, slide 4. Great. So some potential obstacles. This is a piece that I see people leaving out of their annual plans regularly. And so I want to mention it here for sure, is we know that obstacles are going to arise, and some obstacles happen year after year. So instead of just saying that that's an obstacle that our organization is always going to face, it's really writing it down, talking about it, so that it's something that we could maybe suss out so that it's not a problem anymore. And so some things like this can be seasonality, low donor retention, failure to obtain major gifts, which can be a stinger, poor fundraising attendance, inadequate board buy-in, and then lack of diversity for fundraising methods. Another piece on here that is a little plug for Givebutter is that, do you have the ability to take digital payments? And is that easy for donors? And is that easy for you to manage? And is the way that you're taking those donations the ability to accept multiple different payment methods? So can you accept Venmo, Google Pay, Apple Pay, Microsoft Pay, all major debit and credit cards? Is ACH important for you? Do people know how to mail you a check? And those sorts of things. So we just want to make sure that there's really no barrier to entry there. So just being able to identify those as an organization can help you plan better. Number 5. Awesome. So some pro tips that I have are, can you identify any organizations who are doing things in their space that you like or envy, perhaps? Or are there any organizations that have gotten you to donate in the past year? And what do their fundraising plans look like? Or what are some things that you've seen implemented just during COVID times that you're like, this event knocked my socks off. How can my company execute something like that? Or how can we fit it into our annual planning? We have seen the most pivot most of us have experienced in our professional lives up until this point in my experience with the clients that I've been using, or been the clients I've been servicing through Givebutter. And so I would say that evaluate your past years is really helpful, but it's also looking to what other organizations are doing. Playing to your strengths is going to be really important here. So identifying what we've done good in the past and where we might have areas of opportunity. And then one of the things that we recommend with Givebutter is potentially hiring a partner. So whether that's someone like Curio412 or working with an agency, Givebutter also has verified partners for folks who want to put together a live stream event, but have never done any of the videography before. A lot of those big asks and big events are much easier when you have partners. So finding those right resources and really setting up yourself up for success in those ways. Okay, great. So this is an annual plan example. What it explains and shows is that if you're starting at ground zero, the things that you should focus on are starting by drafting your fundraising goals, which are your what's, and your strategy, which is your how. And if you already have a plan, beginning to refine by considering the areas of growth or opportunity for your fundraising team. So you can download this template, and not all templates, it's meant to act as a template. So my idea is that you shouldn't have to start from scratch on these things, right? People have been fundraising for, as long as our organizations have been in existence. But one of the main things is that this year is different. And so it is hard to manage all of the social pieces and the mail that goes out and the different fundraising opportunities, places and pushes that we have in emails. And so a great place to start for that is by documentation. And so what one of our verified partners for Givebutter did here is, in a previous webinar we led, she empowered me with one of her templates for her clients, which I will share with you here. And so I'm sure Carolyn and I would also be interested to talk about in the Q&A section where your teams are seeing success here. So you'll also see when you download this template that there is a lot of crossover between the appeals and the marketing opportunities. So that's why I talked about that in the beginning. Do not separate fundraising and marketing. They should really be intertwined. So if we're sending out a piece of mail that isn't specifically fundraising based, can we get some sort of fundraising piece added into that? And so just making sure that we're not doing double the work and we're already leaning into the things that are successful for us. Okay.
And Tori, I'm going to stick that link to that template in the chat for everyone, but we'll also send it with the presentation afterwards too, so you'll all have access to it.
Awesome. Thanks so much. So these next 10 tips are my top tips for year-round fundraising success. So the first one is easy. We already talked about having a plan. So this is sort of a no-brainer, right? Let's just hit over to slide 2. Making it easy to follow. So this is a way that your online fundraising platform is really important. Oh, sorry. Can you head back to 2? Great, making it easy to follow. So this is making sure that if you're going to take digital payments, you have a modernized donation form to make it super easy to give. Because what we want to have is complete donor stewardship. So we want to be able to thank our donors for any donation amount that they give, make sure that if we're tax deductible, they have the ability to see their receipts, either print that out or save it digitally. And we want to make sure that we're capturing as much data about them as possible without that being a barrier to entry to give. Okay. We also want to make sure that we're accepting multiple payment methods. So we would hate for the reason for someone to not give to your organization is because your website wasn't working or because it was hard to do, right? And so just making it easy to follow. Let's head to slide 3. Making it multi-channel. So multi-channel doesn't always refer to just social media. Multi-channel means that you have a consistent brand message across every platform. So that is digital and in-person, that is print and virtual, right? So just making sure that your organization has a consistent message. Can you keep it simple and specific? As in, do people know what you're asking them to do with every social media post or every piece of mail? Are you friend raising? Are you fundraising? Are you educating? Are you inviting them? Just making sure that it's really clear what you have going on here. And so this sort of borders on that idea of your marketing plan and your fundraising plan really being in tandem. If we're going to ask people to do something, we want them to understand it. In the time of digital, we want to make sure that on our websites and fundraising pages that we have beautiful images, high quality logos, just making sure that the way that we present our brand and our nonprofit is very professional. And even though in some of those ways it can be fun, that we're consistent with what that messaging is. A good tip here is like sprucing up your social media accounts. So this can just be consistent logos across platforms, the same sort of description in the bios and those sorts of things. Having a few emails written and ready. So this means like creating email templates, whether that's for yourself or for your organization to send out email blasts and those sorts of things. It sounds like a no-brainer, but even just having a nice email signature where I can navigate to a quick donate link, or I can know exactly what is most important for your organization at that time, that can be a great place for you to do some marketing, okay? And then the last piece is the setup of mobile donations and sharing. If your organization is looking to lean into the digital space of either push SMS messages, so if you're trying to send text messages to your organization, if you're going to solicit people in that way, we just want to make sure we're really tasteful, we're being really respectful. That is sort of like a new email. And so it'd be interesting to see if anyone in this organization is using push messages in that way. Okay, next slide. Lead with video. This has been the 2020 theme that Givebutter has seen. Organizations are showing, not telling, okay? So we see that video explanations put a lot of human heart and touch into fundraising campaigns. So that can be specific asks. So you're just filming yourself similar to what we're doing now, making a specific ask, uploading that to a fundraising page or your website, or you can go to another extreme, something that's very highly produced. And so either way, those can be valuable. Something to consider is they don't have to be lengthy. So if you're going to repurpose video content, that is a great way to do here. Repurpose anything that you've had in the past, just getting it up on your pages so that people can see will sort of keep that relevant and top of mind. Same goes for images. So just the more that you have, it's okay to repurpose those things, just making sure that they're high quality. And some of the things that we've seen be really successful is when our own company was sort of grappling for content to create, we asked other people if we could talk to them about how our organization has impacted them. So one of the things that you could do if you're searching or having a hard time coming up with, oh, what sort of content would we create? Interview videos do really well, especially for fundraising, when someone sees the impact that their donation has had on a survivor or a constituent or someone that is has the services of your organization. Okay. And then a clearly stated next step. So your video is pretty purposeless if you're looking for fundraising from that video, but you don't have a clear call to action. So the idea might be check out this video and make sure that you have all the applicable links to give, right? So if you had followed everything in step 2, like updating your profiles, making sure you have a slick donation capability on your website or in your social media links, just making sure that you're really clearly stating you want someone to watch this video and then you want them to give. Okay, step 5. Recruiting ambassadors. So recruiting ambassadors goes farther than just Giving Tuesday. We have a lot of friend raisers at Givebutter. And so this is something that there's a lot of terminology around it: P2P, peer-to-peer, friend raisers. And so this is people that support your organization, not always monetarily, but they are champions. So you want to ask those people to continue to spread your mission. And so by having clear fundraising pages, clear website, clear assets for them to give out to the community or share with their friends, you're going to see that pay dividends. And you're going to get not just more donors, but more fundraisers. So there's the piece of sharing your mission, and then there's also the piece of asking for money. So it doesn't always have to be a big ask, but if you can get not just board member buy-in, but people who are maybe volunteers or people who have donated in the past or people who have been positively affected by your organization, if you can ask them to be fundraising champions for you, that is very powerful. Slide 6. Make it fun. So this is pretty easy for us at Givebutter because we are all based around these social aspects. And so what that means is, does your campaign page look visually appealing? Are you able to leave a message of support with perhaps a video or upload your own photo or a GIF? Do people want to interact with your pages and keep checking because it has a goal bar and they like to see that going up? Is there a video there? Does the video get updated every few weeks so people are excited to go back and see what the updates are? I would say that those things are most exciting. Some of the peer-to-peer aspects, or if you do something called team member fundraising, this is the idea of creating a fundraising campaign and then inviting people to join so that they have unique trackable links, which they're able to share with friends, family, and other constituents. And then a leaderboard. Different fundraising platforms have the ability to sort of rank folks as they join as team members. So you can rank on many fundraising platforms based on how much is raised or how many supporters. Givebutter has an awesome functionality where we rank based on this algorithm that calculates how many people donated and the amount of money raised. So we try to make it really fun, but this can be great for if you want to pin board members against each other, or you want to have students work together in that way to sort of compete for other prizes. Can be really neat. Yeah, that's basically for making it fun. Did I miss a slide? Sorry.
Did I go too fast?
Yeah, could you hit me back to 8?
Yep.
Maybe 7, unless I left 7 out. Yeah, collaborate with others, perfect. So this is similar to the fundraisers and fundraisers. If you collaborate with others, this can be other organizations, this can be the nonprofit groups you're part of, this could be business bureaus, those sorts of things. If you can get other organizations to collaborate with you and share your mission, vision, donation links, you can double, triple, quadruple your viewership and engagement. This is all new people to your organization and it can be mutually beneficial. You can get event sponsors. And so we all know that sponsorship is a great way for collaboration, not just in the sponsors giving us funds, but also in the brand and name recognition. And also if we can get our sponsors to promote for us as well. So a really big key here, which would go back into having some email templates. I know sitting on a board, my board members are way more willing to email their constituents when I tell them exactly what to say and exactly where those constituents can go. So make it easy on yourself as you're directing those pieces to know what your board members are expecting so that we can make that collaboration easier, okay? Corporate matching gifts are really important and could be a good area of opportunity depending on what sort of donors you have. We have an integration with Double the Donation, which can be really neat. I'd be happy to share that info with folks after if anyone's interested in that. So the idea here is that you're doing twice as much good with about half the work. So you're going to do that work anyway. Let's get it out to as many people as possible and see your fundraisers switch to your collaborators. Okay. Let's hit 8. Highlighting a monthly giving program. This is a really key staple for nonprofit organizations when they need to think about their annual fundraising programs. So if you don't have an easy way to give on your website for an annual fund, you're doing yourself a disservice. And so it's making sure that you have that ability and that there's the ability to give monthly, perhaps quarterly, yearly, whatever that would look like for your organization. So making sure that you're able to take those payments digitally and you're not expecting just a check in the mail every month. Make sure that you try to build momentum around the end of the year. So factor that into your fundraising goals. We see in Givebutter that almost 50% of our annual donations happen in the months of November and December. That's wild. And the reasons for that are because of the way that Giving Tuesday falls and the way that people give towards the end of the year. And so that can be really exciting. Could also be a missed opportunity if we don't focus on it. And so another piece here that we've really found to be successful is giving the concrete donation levels. So this can be either contextualizing your monthly donation of X does Y, or if there's going to be some sort of incentive program for donating monthly, making sure that that is easily communicated to people so that it's understandable. And really thinking about if you're going to give rewards for that or some sort of levels of membership or thanks, that it's clear to other people. Okay, awesome. Something I always like to mention is don't forget to say thank you. And the idea behind that is if you're taking donations online and the check's not physically coming to you, we want to make sure that we're thanking those people automatically. And then perhaps their information is going into our CRM system. If we don't have a system of management like that, are we able to track that in real time so we know who's giving to us any given week and so that we can give any extra TLC or communication to those folks. So there's a lot that has to go in the donation collection here. So making sure that you have a platform that gives you that information, definitely making sure you're capturing emails, if not billing addresses and phone numbers, depending on what's most important to your organization. And if giving end of the year statements is important to you as well, making sure that you have an online platform that allows you to do that as well will be imperative. Okay. And the last idea is just give better all year round. So no matter what fundraising platform you're using, it's all about donor stewardship. Our organizations wouldn't run if it wasn't for our donors and constituents. So it's just making sure that we're hugging them all year round and not just when they donate. So that can look like a lot of different things. It's normally dependent on the organization, but just if we think heart and donor stewardship first, we can see a lot of success in that way. Great. Well,
Thank
we'd
you.
love to take questions. Carolyn, what are you thinking?
Yeah, no, I think that sounds great. So I'm going to stop our video now so that we'll have this live later and give you all a chance to unmute if you'd like. And we'll take some questions and answers. And then if we have time, we can go out into breakout rooms too and talk about some of the challenges and just network with others in our nonprofit community.